You're listening to Three Kitchens podcast, hosted by Erin Walker and Heather Dyer.
We're on a mission to inspire other home cooks just like us to be brave and try something new. Let's learn to cook better and eat great food. All right, Heather, we're back, and I've got a recipe I want to share with you.
I can't wait to find out what it is. This is like this little moment before you tell me what you're making is like one of my favorite
The
things.
anticipation of I get to eat something, but I don't know what it is.
What's it gonna be? Yeah, I don't know why it's like really exciting to me. Maybe because very rarely does anyone make me food.
Oh, yeah. Whoever makes you something that is new and interesting.
Yeah, you
Nope.
do. You do.
Just us.
Yeah.
Okay. We were recommended a cookbook from a guest that we had last season that talked to us about food trends. It was called Falastin, and hopefully all the clues are dinging as to what I might be going after in
It could
here.
be anything. That cookbook had so many good recipes in there.
Yep.
I was really happy that we were able to snag it at our public library after we recorded that episode. That was with Wanda Baker, was her favorite cookbook.
Yeah.
And thank you, Wanda, because we were really happy to be introduced to it.
Oh, yeah. It had a recipe in there for something that we both love, and that is red shakshuka.
Oh, right. I do remember you talking about making, oh, yum, shakshuka
Yeah.
is so good.
So I made the shakshuka with the recommendations more or less from this book and followed the directions. And it turned out like fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. But then when I flipped the page, it had a recipe for a green shakshuka, which for me is totally out of my wheelhouse. Like I haven't seen it on a menu somewhere. I haven't heard about it in a food show before. I've never come across the idea of a non-tomato based shakshuka.
Maybe you should explain what a shakshuka is
Oh,
for those
okay.
listening who've never eaten it.
So it is a breakfast of the Middle East. It's a fairly informal dish that's kind of all cooked in one pan. It's got tomatoes, onions, spices, peppers, and then to finish it off at the very end, you crack an egg into it and cook the egg to the desired doneness. So if you're me, the whites are set, but the yolk is still nice and runny.
Me
And
too.
this is something that you just eat with a fresh piece of either pita bread or naan bread or any type of bread that you just
Nice
kind of,
piece of toast, whatever you like.
yeah, just you dip it in there and put it in your face. And
That's how eating works, Sarah.
you wanted me to describe to the listeners.
Okay, sorry. If the listeners didn't know how eating works, you have something and put it in your face.
Oh, but I mean, there's no forks. It's a very informal.
Well, you might need a fork to scoop up the rest of those veggies and stuff.
Oh, no, that's what you just keep scraping that bread around there until your pan is mostly clean. Just give it a
Okay.
rinse and you're done. Haha.
Okay.
So the wonderful thing about this is you can use, if you've got a whole bunch of tomatoes, you can make up this sauce ahead of time and have this, or if you've made a tomato sauce the night before, if you're eating something else, you can take these ingredients, toss them in the pan, add a few different spices, crack in your eggs, and it's like a whole different meal. It's a really nice way to use leftovers if you've got excess tomatoes because you're harvesting them off of plants that grew them. They're cheap in the store because they're on sale, so you buy a whole case of them.
If you have, when you're talking about leftovers, it's like if you have roasted veggies,
Yeah.
because you're not cooking them right from scratch. They're already cooked. You're just like warming them up in a different way. You're like throw in some potatoes or yams or carrots, even like cauliflower. I mean, whatever you like with the base, the tomatoes and onions. I mean, anything goes, really.
Yeah, it's kind of like clean the fridge tomato sauce. And I mean, it says it's for breakfast. I love having this for dinner or as like a hearty lunch if I know I'm like going out and doing something and or don't want to have like a big meal at the end of the night. It's nice and easy and fast to cook on the stove top if you've got the leftovers. And even
Hmm.
if you're chopping stuff up fresh, it doesn't take that much longer to do. You're not turning on your oven. It is delightful.
So good.
The other thing that's wonderful on top of this one, and I don't know if it's on all of them, but this one has crumbled feta that's been mixed with parsley, chili flakes, olive oil, and coriander seeds. So you
That
make
sounds
this
good.
feta cheese crumble that then you sprinkle on top when you serve it. And if you've listened to me and Heather talk about, our desire to just stand in our kitchen and crush coriander seeds so that we can smell them, like
Nothing better.
all of the sensory satisfaction comes from that. Anyway, so that's a fabulous little sprinkle on top. Okay, so you make your feta crumble and set it aside. You dice up an onion, a pepper, garlic. You cook those in a pan. You add in some cumin seeds and some tomato paste and some paprika, and you kind of cook that again until it's nice and fragrant. And then you add in like a pound of diced fresh tomatoes.
You could use canned
And you could
tomatoes
use
too.
canned tomatoes
If you don't
too.
have fresh and you've got some canned tomatoes in your pantry and you still want to make it.
Yeah, add some water. You can add harissa paste or harissa sauce to add a little bit of spice, salt and pepper, and then just let that simmer and cook until it's nice and thick. So really simple to make. Again, crack your eggs in at the end, cover it with a pan, cook them to what you like, open that up, sprinkle on your feta. Yum, yum, yum.
I'm totally doing the feta next time I make this. I've never made it with that.
Oh, so good. So you won't be making it. I'm going to make you a red shakshuka so
Oh,
that
you
you can
are?
compare it to the green that I make. So that we can do, I mean, what's the point of doing a comparison if it's not side by side?
I do remember the red one. So,
Yes, but you haven't had it with the feta. Come
I
on.
haven't. I haven't. You're right. Sorry, sorry. Please make me more food, Erin.
You
Yes,
only want one thing? Come
no, no,
on.
no.
Okay.
I want all the things.
So, green shakshuka. We have, okay, let me list off. Wow, this is so different. So different. On the other hand, your green shakshuka has got olive oil, harissa, butter, a leek, Swiss chard, green onions, green chili, cumin, coriander, garlic, parsley, dill, and then salt, water, lemon juice, and then your eggs at the end. So
Ooh, this is very different.
totally different idea. This not only uses the charred leaves, but also the charred stems.
Hmm.
Again, a bit different there, but yeah, a whole bunch of different flavors are going in here. You can use chunks of feta to serve, or you can serve it with the yogurt, Greek yogurt, daubed in there too.
Hmm. That would be
And
good.
then a sprinkle of za'atar at the end when you serve it.
I just, while you were talking, I was listening, I promise, but I was looking at harissa. Seems to be the red is more chili, red chili based.
Okay.
I think the red is more spicy.
Okay. And this has a green chili in it. So I think that'll also
Okay.
up our spice level a little bit.
This is quite different.
I am very intrigued by the Swiss chard and the dill that's
Yeah.
going in here. So this is going to be very green. I can taste the greenness, but
Yeah.
all these flavors together and then an egg in there. I'm going to prepare both of these bases. So a red shakshuka base and a green shakshuka base. And then I'm going to provide it to you to heat up and then cook your egg. Crack in your egg and cook it to your desired doneness. Because I think if I pop the egg in and cook it for you,
It'll end up overdone.
it'll end up overdone.
Sits.
If I'm not like, okay, I'm cooking the egg now, hold on 5 minutes, and then I drive over with like a steaming hot pan of the transportation's probably not going to be great. So you shall get 2 varieties to have some fun with.
What would be really cute if you were like serving this to guests is if you have, those little cast iron pans that you have?
I'm serving it to you like that.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking like if you were to
Yes.
serve it to other people
Oh,
at your
totally.
house. You could put that in front of them, that cute little cast iron pan. Oh my, that would just be so
Yeah.
impressive. You would wow your guests, like, what have you made for me?
And I
So
think the
good.
best part of this is that both these recipes recommend get ahead and make these bases a day or two before you want to serve this.
I have made red shakshuka and I've never made it in advance. I just in the pan, throw in my stuff, mix it up, cook it a little bit, put the egg in, cook it, done.
Yeah. So I want to make this in advance because it says like the longer it sits, the better.
Oh, I think the flavors are gonna
The
like,
flavor is going to come out great in that. And then it also says that you can marinate the feta in that little herb mixture to up the flavor. So this is going to be something I make the day before. I mean, oh man, now I'm getting this for breakfast because, like, oh, you wake up, you just grab a couple scoops of this out of your fridge into your pan, you get it bubbling, you crack in your egg. Oh man. Okay.
I can't wait.
Okay. Can't wait.
It's gonna be so good.
And I think it's gonna be super cute too.
Those little pans.
Hey, beach lover. Is the beach calling out to you right now? Do you love listening to the soothing sound of ocean waves and breathing in the salty air? Do you love the feeling of sand between your toes and the warm tropical breeze on your skin? If so, grab a cool drink, relax in your beach chair, and tune in to The Beach Speaks, the podcast that shares stories about the beach and our connection to it. Join me, Paige Friend, your host and fellow beach lover, in listening to engaging conversations with guests including authors and artists, entrepreneurs and travel experts, all with a deep connection to the beach. You'll also hear some personal stories of my own beach adventures that will inspire you to reconnect with the beach, return to your soul, and reimagine your life. New episodes are released bi-weekly wherever you enjoy your podcasts. The beach is speaking. Are you listening?
Should we talk shakshuka?
I want to talk about it.
I want to eat it.
You want to eat more of it?
Yes. Yes, I do.
All right. So I made two shakshukas. I made the red shakshuka and the green shakshuka. I halved the recipe for the red one because I thought we don't need so many servings. This recipe says it serves too generously. If I would have made this whole serving, I think I ate myself stupid on this stuff. I don't know. I might not be here if I made it all.
Well, the amount you gave me, I split into two.
Yeah. So the best part of this is I just whipped these two things up one day while I was making lunch. I also threw these things together because you kind of want to make this ahead of time and just toss it in your fridge, and then you can serve up any amount you want. So this worked out really well, and then I served them in little individual cast iron pans when I went to heat them up. So you can make like a serving, crack your egg in there, and like boom, you've got this
Eat it
wicked.
right out of the
Oh,
cast
you
iron
eat it right
skillet.
out of the pan, no question about it. I would love to make this for like a brunch or something where I served people with it because I think it looks super adorable.
It, yes, for sure.
But even if you don't have the individual cast iron pans, you just pop this into one pan, you cook it and make a nice sauce. As soon as you've done that, you can choose to crack your eggs right into it, cover it, and cook them until they're done to your desired consistency. Or do what I did and just toss this in a container and pop it in your fridge and let it sit.
A couple days for sure.
If you're meal prepping, you can make all of this up on the weekend so that in the morning, if you're having it for breakfast, or in the evening, if you're
Lunch.
eating it for
Oh,
dinner or for lunch, just toss it into a pan, crack your egg, heat it, and then eat it.
such a great idea to make it ahead.
It makes it so damn easy.
Yeah.
That's the best part of this is I was like, is this all I'm doing? Have I done everything?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I missed
Okay.
something. No.
This is the thing. It's almost too simple.
Mm-hmm.
I looked for a harissa sauce or a harissa paste at my local grocery store. I found a jar of harissa sauce that was President's Choice brand, I think. Wasn't super spicy. It's essentially just like a red pepper sauce or red pepper paste, but like with chilies and other spicy peppers in it. I didn't find it too bad, so I gave a little bit of extra to you, Heather, and I just kind of added it in when I cooked up my egg because I thought it added a nice punch of spice and flavor in there.
I thought it would be spicier, but I'm not actually all that
Yes.
familiar with it. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's not meant to be
Yeah, I don't
kind of
know.
heat. I would have liked a little heat with it. I thought it was going to be like when I just tasted it, I was like, oh, it's not really what I was expecting. I thought it would be more chilly.
And I think maybe like I could have gone down the road of making my own harissa sauce, which had a lot of chilies and roasted peppers in it. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to keep this
I think
simple.
that's fine. You know what? I would add like maybe some red pepper flakes or something into it while it's simmering away to kind of get
Oh, yeah.
a little bit of something in there. Or, I mean, in my house, everybody's always got sriracha on everything. You could put a little something with some spice at the end, or I love chili oil on everything, like drizzle some of that if you want some heat. Now we're mixing all kinds of stuff, but I did want a little, like with that tomato base,
Yeah.
a little hit of something
Yeah.
spicy. And if you use chili oil, so if it's something you like, use it as like a condiment after, I would say. I wouldn't like cook it into it.
Okay. I forgot to add when you go to make this to serve it, there is a feta cheese and spice and oil mixture that it says chili flakes, but I added za'atar spice instead of chili flakes. So maybe there would have been a little bit more spice had I added chili flakes to this, because for some reason I didn't read this and I thought, oh, I'm just going to add za'atar spice here.
Which is very delicious. I really love this feta crumble thing that we put on top of this. I loved that.
And then it's got oil and crushed coriander seeds.
Mm,
Mm.
can't go wrong.
No, but yeah, so there should be chili flakes in it, not za'atar spice. But you know what? My brain just decided its own way, and I would say also add in that za'atar spice. So the recipe I put up will have that in there because yum yum.
What you're learning, listener, is, and I think we may have said this before about shakshuka. I can't remember, but it really is what you want it to be.
Totally.
If you think about it as the base, you've got some onions, tomatoes, peppers. You're making sort of a sauce that you're gonna cook an egg in on top of. Put whatever you love in there.
Yeah.
Season it the way you like it. It may stray from like what an authentic shakshuka is. I'm not trying to like,
Yeah. Yeah. We're
I
by
don't
no
know.
means
I'm not
bringing
trying to
you.
destroy a shakshuka recipe, but really like put what kind of spice appeals to you and or maybe to whoever you're serving it to, or spice it up or keep it mild and more bland if that's the way you like, if you want just that pure tomato flavor. Like I think what we're learning is it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. And even the recipe mentions that. I don't think we're taking any liberties here. It says that it's a versatile dish that you can play around with spices and toppings to make it how you like.
Yeah.
So if there's something in there you're like, oh no, I really don't like that, substitute, change it up, find something you do like. I love this.
Yeah.
I love this red shakshuka. It's just
too.
it feels like comfort food.
Oh,
And I
for
love
sure.
like just that good, hearty, home cooked thing. And I feel like if we were to go and visit places where this is coming from, it would be different in every grandma's house because it feels like that thing that your grandma would be like, oh, well, I put my little extra special touch in it and nobody else does it but me. And that it just adds that little bit of. So I think that's totally the way you want to go with this, is make it your own. The green shakshuka that I made was totally different
Completely
than this
different.
red one. I was like, I wonder if we're just getting like something slightly different. Like we had talked about it before I made it off air, and you had mentioned like, oh, does it have like green tomatoes in it or something? Like I think we both expected it to be sort of the same.
Yeah. No.
Alert. This is different.
Alert.
Different in a good way. Spoiler alert here. So this green shakshuka You start by mixing butter and olive oil into a pan and adding to that leeks. And you saute those leeks until they get nice and soft and a little bit translucent. The lid on because you want to keep the moisture in. You don't have as much moisture that you're working with in this shakshuka, so you have to be more conscious of keeping that lid on when you're cooking these things down. So just a note at the top. Okay. Then you've got Swiss chard. So you can buy a green Swiss chard or a red Swiss chard. I ended up buying the red one because that's what I always buy, but you could buy the green one and it would all be green. Either way, it's all Swiss chard and it's delicious. In this one, you want to separate the leaves and the stems of the Swiss chard because you're going to be adding them at different times. Once you've got those separated, you want to chop up your chard stems and you want to add them to your leeks. Again, cover your pot, stir it a few times, but keep this over kind of medium-low heat until those stems start to break down and soften. Once you've got that, you're going to add half of a green chili that's finely chopped, garlic, and your ground spices, which include cumin and coriander. And so now you're going to cook and fry all that stuff together into your pan. And then you're going to add all your diced up chard leaves, diced parsley, and chopped fresh dill. At first I was like, oh my God, this isn't all going to fit in my pan. But like all green things that go into heat, it wilts and then becomes manageable. So again, you are just going to add a bit of water to this, cover it up, and let everything wilt and cook down. So you've got this really green aromatic pan of ingredients. And then this is the point where you can stop and toss it into your fridge so that you can take it out and cook it anytime you want. Or if you're going to serve it right away, you just want to make 4 little spots in, if you're using a whole pan, for your eggs to kind of sit into. You want to make like little wells and you want to crack your eggs in there. And you also want to add a squirt of lemon juice at this point because it's just going to like brighten and freshen up all those flavors. They say don't add the lemon juice until right before when you're cooking to serve, or it will make your greens look brown. Just the acid will make it look less nice if it sits too long with it.
Isn't that funny how lemon juice will make greens turn brown but make apples not turn
Stay
brown?
happy. I know.
What?
Don't know what's going on there.
It's science. It's science, Erin.
It's science.
Sure.
There you go. And then you are going to serve this with that feta cheese again on top.
Oh yeah, you are.
And
It's so good.
the best thing to eat both of these shakshukas with is some sort of fresh flatbread. So I made the za'atar flatbread that Heather made last season. It's a really quick bread that you're just mixing together flour, water, spices, yeast, letting it rise for an hour. You punch it down and roll it out, and it cooks in our little Wonder ovens. And
You can bake it in any oven.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you can just buy some pita bread or naan bread or whatever bread you want to eat this with, because you're going to use it to sponge and scoop and serve, and it's all eaten with your hands.
Well, I use a fork as well. I find it
Ooh.
easier to shovel onto my bread. Maybe I'm just not as good at the scooping idea. I also like a runny egg, so it kind of is messy, and eventually I need to get in there with like a fork or a spoon because I'm not wasting any. I like it's all going in my face.
Yeah. So this was wow.
So different from the red.
Yeah.
It's very, I don't even know how to describe. I was trying to think of how to describe it. As usual, I don't have the words to describe the food I'm eating. You definitely get the chard.
Oh, yes.
Like if you're a fan of Swiss chard, it's like a hit of it.
I'm going to go out and say that chard is my favorite and one of the best salad greens out there. If you have not experienced like a nice baby chard in a salad or everywhere, like, oh my God,
Everywhere.
it just should be everywhere. I love it. Love it. Love it.
It's not my favorite, I have to say. It's not my favorite green, but the older I get, the more I appreciate it. I remember as a kid, my mom used to make, she would just steam chard and then they would drizzle like vinegar over it. I don't know why
Oh,
vinegar, but maybe, if you're also probably salt, like if you're a pickle fan, which I am, but anyway, it's a lot like a pickled sort of flavor. It is kind of a
ah,
strong, like if you're used to something like spinach that doesn't
right.
have really much flavor, like it's got flavor, but it's very
Mm-hmm.
mild, right?
I
Chard
guess,
is a
yeah.
much stronger flavored green.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to say, what does green taste like? I feel like
It tastes green,
chard tastes green. You know what I mean?
but
Anyway,
it's
it's
not
fresh.
bitter.
No, it's
It's a
fresh
very
and
sweet,
yeah,
earthy green,
earthy.
dare I say.
If you're a fan of it, this is very, I would say, chard forward.
There you go.
Wouldn't you say?
Oh my God, yes.
And
Yes.
I did really, really enjoy it. It was, so refreshing. Like,
Yeah, like I wasn't sure how the dill was gonna do in there
oh,
with everything, but I think cooking it sort of made it a bit milder. Like I think of dill like a dill pickle, and I'm like, whoa. But I think this was a nice mild.
mm,
It made it milder, or it really complemented with the chard. I'm not sure what it was, but I didn't find the dill as overwhelming as I was afraid it might be because it was half a cup of chopped dill and
oh,
fresh
yeah.
chopped dill, and I went for the whole thing. I was like, "Oh, this looks like a lot," but I think it worked.
It's very unexpected, to have
Yeah.
like those greens with the egg. I felt like it was just different than,
Oh yeah.
I don't know, maybe
I
just for me, it
I
was like
kind of
different.
equate it to like a quiche. So you know how like in a quiche you've got like egg with
Mm-hmm.
greens and leeks and whatever mixed in?
Mm-hmm.
This was the greens and the leeks with an egg.
Oh,
Like it's kind
yeah,
of like an inside out quiche is the best way that I think I can put this into maybe explainable terms for
I get
somebody.
it. I'm with you. Yep.
If you're following
Mm-hmm.
my crazy ideas, I loved this green.
Mm.
I would be making this again. Holy moly.
Okay, and I'm going to throw one more option at you.
Oh,
Here's what I did. So, Erin gave me two little mini cast iron frying pans, one with red and one with green, plus the feta, plus half a lemon to squeeze on there, plus harissa sauce, and two eggs. It was a lovely package that I
it was
received.
a little bit of a DIY.
This is the best job. I'm
It
serious.
is.
Okay. And because I had the two, and one, in my opinion, one pan with an egg is like enough for a meal for one
Uh-huh.
person, for me. So, but I wanted to eat them both. So I took a bigger frying pan
Okay.
and I put half the green, half the red in the pan next to each other. I didn't mix them together. I just warmed them up next to each other. And then I put my egg kind of on the middle. And then the second day, because I still had the other two halves, I did the same thing in one small frying pan. I had half of it was red, half of it was
Ah.
green. I cooked my egg on top and then I covered it all with everything basically.
Yeah.
And some of it you eat just red or just green, and some of it got mixed together toward the end. And I loved it even when it all kind of was a big mishmash of red and green and egg and harissa and lemon. And oh, it was just
Mm.
delicious. I'm
Yeah.
not suggesting you need to make both and mix them together, but if they happen to both end up on your plate,
I'm suggesting you should make both. You should definitely do what Heather did because I ate myself stupid on this for dinner with my son. We sat down and between these two pans, oh my gosh, I haven't been that uncomfortably full in a really long time.
when your own cooking is just too good and you can't stop eating it.
Yeah. No, this was winner winner.
So good.
It's something that hasn't crossed my table until I was much older in life. I would say I've probably only heard about this within like the last 10 years. I had never
Hmm. Yeah.
tried or had shakshuka before, and it's something everybody needs to have. Like if you have not eaten this, oh my gosh, it's easy to create at home and it is so damn good. Do
Yeah.
it.
Like it's so easy. So easy.
It's like making pasta sauce, and most of us are familiar with that. We've got all the ingredients hanging around. Just put them together slightly differently and pat yourself on the back.
Prep it early in the week. Plan to use, plan to make your shakshuka. And then with the rest of it, turn that into a pasta sauce.
Totally.
Or for your spaghetti squash. Here you have 2 meals or more, depending how much you make and how many you're feeding. Look at me, meal planning. I learned something, Megan, if you're listening. And now for the fine print. For links to recipes and many other random things we talked about in this episode, check out the show notes or our website, www.threekitchenspodcast.com. Join us on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and TikTok to see what we're cooking up next. And if you love the show, tell a friend. Word of mouth is the #1 way people learn about new podcasts. Thanks for listening. I don't know. Am I supposed to know what I'm talking about when I talk on a podcast?
No, we're not held responsible for anything we say.
No.